computer. It's fine. Should be better.
All right.
Yeah, so gamers rise up.
This is Revenge of the Incels.
Yeah, Revenge of the Incels, Revenge of the White Supremacists. So this is the Capitol storming 2.0 Electric Boogaloo.
You know, I'm yet to see this, and I'm really just dying to see it. I want to see some goofy neoliberal newspaper or just Twitter account try to spin this as some kind of white supremacist alt-right.
Oh, they already are. They already are.
Insurgency.
They already are, dude. It's so insane.
Where is it coming from? How are they describing it? What are they saying?
They're basically saying that they're just showing like how so there are some people, obviously there's a raw group of everything, that there are some people that make very anti-Semitic jokes. A lot of fucking idiots believe that capitalism is failing, or the failures of capitalism have to do with the insidious Jew. That's obviously bullshit, and it's because they obviously do not want to obviously talk about the real reason capitalism doesn't work for them is that it's not meant to work for them. It's meant to work for others. But there's also more insidious people that try to, say that, oh, Reddit is toxic, and then they use 4chan to show an example of it. I'm like, 4chan and Reddit are two different fucking sites, you idiot.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the anytime you want to kind of criticize this entire, I don't know, movement happening, whatever you want to call it, 4chan gets thrown in for like the worst parts of a given article or a tweet or a news segment. It's like they try to insert 4chan at any given opportunity to criticize Reddit. And it's funny because, I mean, 4chaners generally hate Redditors and vice versa, right?
Yes, that's usually the case. I mean, well, not so much Redditors, but yeah. But mostly this thing was started obviously by Wall Street Bets. There's a lot of, okay, so let's be honest, most of these hedge fund cucks do not deserve their wealth. They're not actually intelligent. A lot of them only got there because of the positions that they were born in. That's it. That's the reason why capitalism is shit, because you literally basically start with you basically start with whatever hand you're given. And liberals like to tell you, or also conservatives as well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever bullshit that they feel. But okay, so I digress. Let me continue. But Wall Street Bets is full of a lot of kids that are full of that are ingenious, and they're also obviously fucking idiots at the same time. But they all decided
they're autists. They're autists, yeah. Like they
well, some of
like
them
they call themselves. Oh no,
well,
I was using it.
Yeah,
I was using it as the joking moniker. I guess I didn't mean. Sorry, no,
but they do call themselves no offense to anyone who's autistic, but they do call themselves autistic. And there are obviously people that are on the spectrum. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of people that are on these things are autistic because that's how they find other people, to communicate. Because sometimes people that are autistic don't like to, interact with other people, and that's so understandable. But besides that, going back to what these kids found out is that using information that's available to everyone, they found out about hedge fund managers that they were trying to basically squeeze the life out of GameStop. And these kids decided to put a stop to that. And not only just to put a stop to that, but also to make money at the expense of these assholes. And so now basically the entire world, except for Joe Biden and these other, lizard capitalists, are trying to defend them.
Yeah, it's a hilarious just similarity that I'm seeing between this right now, giving the hedgies a wedgie, and and Trump in 2016, is that so many aspects of this all kind of started with video game like culture, where basically like a lot of the angry like kind of 4chan incels who push Trump, who are his early supporters, like his online base, his like meme spreading base.
Video games are the only place that actually create real meaningful culture anymore. Liberals are taking basically everything else up. I don't know why, but there's something different about the minds of the liberals who make most of our video games that don't have a disease poison mind, that try to make shit that's basically like you're watching The West Wing, but like maybe it's like the Mafia edition.
Yeah, I think video games is definitely like a creative medium that's relatively unfiltered and relatively uncensored, relatively still kind of no holds barred. Obviously, and I was about to get to this, like so many
Oh,
of Trump's early like kind of 4chan base was like protesting Gamergate and I don't know, just liberal incursion
liberal
on
hegemony.
video
So
games.
so so the problem with these people is that they know that the game is fucked, because a lot of these kids are even saying that this is revenge for 2008. I know a lot of you probably, well, and the 5 people that listen to this fucking podcast, and then eventually maybe people who are, are professors who will later fucking cancel me, but that's a different story. That's coming up. But what I'm trying to say is that, fuck, what was I trying to say again?
Well, just gamer culture and the kind of people who are
Oh,
drawn to
right.
to
These people are have been kind of marginalized from society, and that's done. That alienation comes from capitalism. So these kids tend to go into like these far extremist groups to try to find some solace in the fact that capitalism has basically destroyed the world that they were promised. I'm not trying to justify some of these white supremacists, but you have to at least know where a lot of people are coming from, or you won't know why the fucking Trump phenomenon came in the first place. But obviously, most liberals don't give a shit about trying to actually figure out why people are racist.
oh yeah,
They just care about
absolutely.
persecuting.
Absolutely. I'm thinking of the movie The Joker. When you see The Joker, I think, I mean, and one thing that I thought was really cool about The Joker was how it, in many ways, like resonated with both the right and the left, um,
Mm-hmm.
in different ways. Obviously, I'm sure, like when you watch The Joker, I guess in some ways it's like a Rorschach test where you're like, oh, that's the problem with society, and then someone on the opposite side of the spectrum feels the opposite way. But either way, one thing that I think kind of resonated with both sides pretty universally is that um, the antisocial sort of cutthroat modes of behavior and really just how we treat each other in this society and just capitalist societies in general, where I mean, remember when Joaquin Phoenix just like I think was he sitting in a doctor's office and he just grabs like this nurse and just like shakes her. He's like, "Why won't you just talk to me like a regular person?" Or whatever that scene was. Like
Yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah.
the way that like we treat one another, sort of like more like commodities or just customers in some ways. And then the second they're not providing or going to potentially provide profit to us, they're just,
Not human
I mean,
anymore.
not human anymore. They're just another stranger. It's like you never met them. Um, I
Like
think
this
that
type of
that
alienation makes people go into fringe thoughts and ideations, and it makes them try to join like fuck cults in a way. I mean, that's what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, exactly. It's because what is that? If you're on the receiving end of that constantly, where no one gives a shit about you, you you really have no like strong kind of social circle, I guess. It's just you're just sort of on your own and there's nothing there's no real prospects of life getting better for you. It's like
Right,
why
right.
why not just go crazy? Like
I mean, and this is and the reason people are probably like, oh, so why don't Latinos or blacks or other minorities do this? They don't do it because they already know the game is fucked. They don't believe in capitalism. Most black people don't believe in fucking capitalism. Most indigenous people don't believe in it. They know it's a fucking rigged game. It's starting to wake up to white people that the game is fucked, and a lot of them cannot cope in a proper way. Cope is the new fancy term.
well rather than cope in a variety of ways, you can just cope by making up conspiracy theories that Trump's going to win on March 4th.
Or that Trump is still the president and that Biden is a puppet. That's great. I love that one.
Yeah, no, again, I'll be the first to admit I was taken for a fool. I really thought he had an outside chance. But
No, that's fine. I mean, but this point, I'm like, if you still believe that Joe Biden is not the president, seek therapy.
Oh yeah, no. If you think that Trump is pulling the strings, like Trump wants to end the transgender ban in the military or something, like you you have mental issues.
Yeah, you
Um,
have real mental issues, like not even like the stupid shit that 4chaners try to pretend exists.
yeah, it's not ironic. It's not a meme.
Yeah,
Please seek
no,
help.
yeah, seek. Unfortunately, you can't because Reagan defunded our psychiatries.
All right.
Another
Well,
reason why I hope that
thank you,
fucker is
Reagan.
burning in hell. And the moment I go to hell is I'm going to go after him and Thatcher's asses.
Oh, he probably won't even like remember who he is. Remember his Alzheimer's was getting pretty bad.
Oh, that's true. I'm pretty sure in hell, like his own personal hell, which I like to believe hell is kind of like that, is that he's basically trying to remember who he is constantly.
But he's remembering himself as like the bad guy in all the movies that he beat. He just keeps losing or
Yeah, that's
something.
awesome, dude. I love it.
He was like the king of B-list westerns, right?
Yeah, yeah. You could never be John Wayne though.
The Chad, John Wayne, and the Virgin Reagan.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Speak on it. Imagine if John Wayne was president. That would have been crazy. That would have been probably like um, Goldwater's dream.
well, we got the next closest thing with Ronald Reagan, the cheap knockoff.
A cheap knockoff. There we go. I love it. All right. So
Um,
moving on from
that's
that.
a,
So let's yeah, go for it.
yeah. I was gonna bring it back to what first of all, what should we even call this event from the past couple of days? I'm really interested because so we're calling the Capitol like the storming of the Capitol or the Capitol
The
riots,
storming of
right?
Capitol. So that one, the first one in January 6th was the storming of Capitol, and then this of the Capitol building. So like Capitol Capitol. This one is Capitol. Instead of an O, it's an A.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I really think of it as very similar. Not the same like ideology or same political demographics. I think this is actually super diverse, which is really interesting to me.
Yes, it is. I mean, I saw a black trans person saying that they were gonna, use this money, to fund their, HR, surgery. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fucking, like just a bunch of neo Nazis, trying to bring down, Jewish hedge funders.
Yeah, no, as much as the progressive or kind of neoliberal mainstream media is going to try to portray it as I don't know. I
Basically,
really
everything they try to say is either it's racist or Russia. These people are fucking insane and need lobotomies.
what would I do?
Lobotomies.
What would I do without you, Chris? That's exactly what I was trying to say in more polite terms.
Don't be polite. These people don't deserve our politeness, and also no one's gonna listen to this, so we're fine.
But to to describe the last couple days, whatever the hell happened, I thought this one random article on New York Times just did it well. I'll read it real quick. It's just one paragraph to encapsulate what just happened. Here we go. The simplest explanation for what happened is that a bunch of hyper online mischief makers on Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum, a clan of self-described degenerates with usernames like Cold Cut Combo 69, decided it would be funny and righteous and maybe even profitable to execute a short squeeze by pushing up the price of GameStop's stock and trapping the big money hedge funds that had bet against it. Would you call that accurate?
Yeah, I would. I honestly do think that is an accurate statement of what happened.
So I think that is and I love that as like a starting point, but I do think that this is gonna end up being even if this doesn't amount to like some kind of broader, I don't know, societal change or movement, I think this is going to be like a noteworthy historic um event in the sense that it from how I'm seeing it, like th- there's the internet and I mean Reddit, a social media website, basically, right?
Yes.
Is allowing people, or maybe not even allowing. Maybe I guess they are kind of cracking down on it. Maybe I should say, gay people the ability to form groups of just like-minded groups,
Yes. Go for it.
and they're finally using that ability
The
and
power
in
of
turn
numbers.
power. and yeah, and
Yes.
power to basically make investment mobs that um now I'm when I say investment mob, I don't mean that they're just greedy capitalists, because I think there's so much more to it than that. I think
Yeah. So
this is
forth.
in many ways a revolt against capitalism, or at least capitalism as currently construed.
Yeah, the
Um,
capitalism that we're currently facing, the techno
mhm,
neoliberalism,
yeah,
fascism that they're trying to impose on everyone, where basically you own nothing. Basically, everything is like is on your phone, and you get good boy points to make sure you can keep staying alive.
and they're trying to get rid of meat. We're just gonna eat crickets, Cricket Joe.
I mean, eventually we're gonna get to soy and cream, so that's gonna happen. I mean, people. I mean, only the elites will be allowed to have the rarest of meat. Children.
Yeah, those are just for my QAnon cricket obsessed crowd, but no, but I really think that it's that description of from the New York Times is a simple kind of plain description of it. That's funny, and I think it's accurate. But I do hope that again down the line, this again, even if it amounts to nothing after this, um, I hope this does get kind of the respect and attention that it deserves from political scientists and historians, and really, I mean, I guess financial people in finance too. I don't know, really just humans pay pay enough attention to this, because I think again, one thing I wanted to look at was the diversity within this. Um, so I would overall call this like a political event. Um, it wasn't purely just a bunch of people who just wanted to make money. They also wanted to stick it to Wall Street. So basically,
Yeah,
GameStop.
I mean the plan is there. These people are holding on to a lot of money. So people think about it, how much they're holding on. They first started with like like a couple of like squeezes. So first it went like from 18 to 60, and then it went up all the way on Monday. Their plan succeeded to go up to 100. Now it's at 320, and that sits around on that type of average. Sometimes eventually there's some dips, and but people still hold on, and they still keep adding on, so they keep adding on more of stocks to it, even though they might be losing money, because they are dedicated to making sure that they crush this fucking these hedge fund managers, the same type of fucking lizard assholes that fucking caused the 2008 crash and that were bailed out,
Absolutely.
but not you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, but I was trying to just walk it back even farther, like before we even get to that point, describing who are the people that are who are the types of people, the kinds of people who are part of this, and why are they doing it? Um, I think it's really interesting just looking at it from a political perspective, not as people seeking profit, but again, people just looking at it as people who just want to stick it to Wall Street, capitalism, etc. Um, like GameStop is was it like the most shorted stock on Wall Street
Yes,
prior to
it
this
was.
all
They were
starting? Yeah.
essentially what they wanted to do is like. So the problem is, well, a lot of these kids feel is that these assholes look at companies that these hedge fund managers want to destroy. So this is the same type of shit that Obama used to ruin Mitt Romney. Bain Capital. These are the same type of people. It's a little bit different though. I mean, that one just basically goes in and cleans house, physically. This one is basically trying to destroy them, like by their liquidity and their capital. So what these kids are trying to do is to prevent these assholes from short squeezing, which in many countries is illegal. Canada banned it in 2008 after the fucking crash that these assholes helped to create. So the United States is pretty much the only country in the world that allows this fucking, draconian practice to continue to exist. That is basically, keeping us at the mercy of these assholes and steals the money from the poor to the rich.
Invisible hand, baby.
Exactly. But I mean, people. I mean, I see a lot of fucking idiots saying, "Oh, well, this isn't real capitalism. This isn't crony capitalism." No, this is capitalism because eventually capitalism subsedes everything and takes over the government and basically controls, the markets and basically dictates on their own terms. Whoever has capital, it's not the free market capitalism is a fucking meme. It's basically like an ugly girl wearing a shirt saying "cutie." It's an oxymoron. There we go.
Love that. Yeah, I take the people who bitched about crony capitalism and that this isn't real capitalism about as seriously as those who say communism has never been practiced and the Soviet Union wasn't an example of communism. To me,
No,
it's
it
like,
was. I
yeah,
mean,
I
communism has been tried, but I'm sorry. Go for it, Austin. I'll later. It's fine. It's fine.
no,
I'll
yeah,
leave you.
no, go for it because I think we're getting at the same point.
Yeah, well, communism has been tried, but communism has always been at the mercy and weak to capitalism because capitalism is the hegemonic force of the world. I mean, Cuba is a shining miracle of being able to withstand it, but unfortunately, the rest of them all fell. So maybe we need
Yeah,
Cuban communism. But continue, Austin.
yeah, I don't. When I say that, I don't mean to discount like all the exceptional barriers that communism's historically just faced period against capitalism. But I also do think that for either of these ideologies or these societal organizations, they when people are trying to practice them, that is what they are. um I think, again, like, capitalism isn't living up perfectly to its definitions as prescribed by Adam Smith or something. um but that being said, what ideology that's ever existed has ever been implemented perfectly? um
That's true.
like I like when that's why to me, I'm putting them on pretty equal footing. Like, I think that they both have been given kind of their fair shot, and we see the results of both. But that being said, yeah, of course, communism and any given communist country has faced way more kind of upstart disadvantages
But I
than.
mean, the Soviet Union was at a disadvantage. It was destroyed by Nazi Germany. The U.S. basically came out of World War II. Like, hey, I am basically the global superpower because I have everything, and we were not destroyed.
Yeah, and I also think that the USSR really scared the shit out of the US. I think the USSR wasn't just any Joe Schmo. I think the USSR really, I mean, I if I remember correctly, wasn't it by sheer chance that the US never launched nukes at the USSR during the Kennedy years?
Yeah, other than nukes, the U.S. was always far ahead of the USSR. Other than maybe the space race, and then obviously with the nukes, for the most part, the USSR never had the resources to compete with the United States.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But
I agree.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's just reality. I just mean and just like Trump and the liberals, just how the USSR lived rent free in the mind of the US. The US was just losing sleep at night knowing that the USSR existed. Like, children were being taught to hide under their desks because they were going to be nuked by
this is
by
insanity. But I mean, obviously, this insanity hasn't ended. I mean, now people are being taught that Russia is basically interfering in every portion of our lives. Vladimir Putin lives rent free like Stalin did, like 70 years ago.
I I think I mean, now that Trump's been banned, maybe Putin's gonna take over that number one spot for most real estate in in humans' minds globally.
No, most people don't think Russia's to blame. A lot of people fucking think it's just the U.S. being a paranoid
Yeah,
dumbass.
no, actually, that's true. Most countries kind of see through it, and they're like, "Bro, leave Russia alone. Why do you guys care so much about Russia?"
I'm like, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, communism wasn't that bad. I'm like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, but sorry to bring it back to the storming
Gamer stop
of
gate.
capitalism, GamerstopGate. Um, I was about to just jump on this. So the gaming aspect. Um, so I thought it was kind of like a perfect storm in a way, as so many of these like amazing anomalies in history are, where like a variety of just different factors happen to just play out that are incredibly improbable, but just lead to crazy happenings. With this, so I think the fact that A, GameStop being such a heavily shorted stock, and B, the fact that it's a gaming stock, um, was perfect kind of ingredients. Not in and of itself. There's obviously other factors, but some two perfect ingredients that led to this happening, where there's this like insurgent online investing revolt, drive up GameStop and screw Wall Street. Um, because again, going back to Trump and his early base, like his online 4chan meme base of neo Nazis, racists, incels, etc. I think, I mean, if you really look back at like some 2015 memes or so, like when kind of the earlier days of Trump's campaign, like a lot of the online, yeah, just troll or incel crowd, their memes just have common themes of being pissed off that their video games are being censored, their video games are becoming politically correct, their video games being watered down is leading them to become Nazis. And
I think,
as
but
retarded
I
as
think,
that sounds,
yeah, but I think that that was more of a cultural thing. This is more
hmm
basically people are starting to realize that the game is rigged. I mean, people
oh
were
yeah,
starting, yeah. I mean, the before, I mean, it was starting to kind of be there, but I mean, the cultural shit is just a distraction. It's just a distraction to make people, forget about the iron boot of capitalism being shoved up their fucking ass.
yeah, no, I agree. It's for different reasons. I don't think that, and we've talked about this so many times. I really don't think that like any Trump supporter or any of even like his more working class Trump supporters are really doing like that much better now than under Obama. I think it's
Oh, yeah,
mostly just
definitely.
a cultural meme and just about owning the libs. but but
Because
for
they
this,
have nothing else. No one has anything else anymore. We lost
mhm.
everything. We lost everything to these hedge fund fucking assholes.
Yeah, yeah, no, kind of the rules of life are set regardless of who's in office, whether it's a black man or Trump. The rules are set.
Or
So
a
all you
dying
really
Muslim.
have, yeah, yeah, or or a Chad invalid. Um,
Yeah.
you you don't really have any, or really let's say not completely, like no one, but the vast majority of people have grim prospects of I don't know, being wealthier than their parents or something, right?
Yes,
So
no, speak.
if that's off the table, if that's off the table, what else do you have to get excited about politically than owning the libs or owning the conservatives or just owning your enemy?
Exactly. You basically have to retreat into like magical worlds where you basically do battle with the forces of evil are the reason why your life sucks. That's how these people think. That's how most people in our generation feel. And then like boomers are wondering why the what the fuck is wrong with the kids? Oh, I don't know. I think it's because we don't have any more wealth, asshole.
Yeah, it's, I don't even think it's just wealth, because
Oh
I'll
no, it's
go
not
back to
just
like,
wealth. I mean, it's
yeah,
not just wealth. But yeah, go
no
for it.
no no, I don't even, I didn't even mean it that way. I meant to say that I think it's the dying prospects of growing wealth. So like you look at like, I mean, tons of countries over the last century that have had consistently rising like average incomes, or I don't know, standards of living, whatever. Like basically countries, when they're hopeful and when they realistically have a shot, when most people realistically have a shot of having better a better, I guess, standard of living or quality of life than their parents,
Yeah,
um, societies are happy. But
yeah.
since that's not the case, even though we do live in one of, if not like the richest societies ever, obviously there's terrible poverty in the U.S. too. Um,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, that's for
nonetheless,
sure.
one of the most materially abundant societies ever. Um, if you really don't have a realistic chance of doing better again than like your parents or the generation for you, then you're gonna feel pretty shitty.
Yeah,
Life's not gonna be that fun, even
but
if you
it's
have
not.
nice things
Yeah,
compared to others.
yeah, but the problem though is also is that materialism has been proven time and time again. It doesn't bring happiness. I mean, granted,
Yeah.
being able to be like secure in your mind that you're not gonna fucking if you break your hip, you're gonna go bankrupt and then lose your home. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go to other countries that don't have the same per capita of income or that type of shit, those countries have like in Europe, if for giving an example, they have higher like rates of happiness, but that's starting to obviously change because they're trying to impose a neoliberal order on them too. I mean, it's going to come for everybody.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. I don't mean to be one of those people who equate GDP with like true prosperity or success or what a
Right.
society should be.
What I'm
Um,
just trying to say is that materialism doesn't bring you happiness, and that's the problem with capitalism, because it's literally is that you have to accumulate in order to in order to be the best, or in order to prove something to someone, or I don't know. It's basically just that's not how human beings work. They just need to be sufficiently provided for, and then they can be happy.
yeah, yeah, no, it's a scam. I didn't mean
No, 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 no. I'm
to
sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
to push it. Really, what I was just I think it's just one part of kind of the equation of the most influential societies of the last, let's say, century.
Yeah.
Um, kind of a growing income on average. But obviously in much different ways. Like let's say you compare like China, for example, to the US. Um, I mean, I guess China at this point is pseudo capitalist, but obviously that like wasn't always the case. Um, but yeah, just the rising income thing, or even in Mexico, for example, the rising income thing. Um,
Around the 50s and 60s and 70s.
hmm yeah, I think tons of people would be happy about it, but this was also what I was gonna temper that point by, with just saying that it, regardless of the rising income thing, like the social relationships and the preferred means of treating one another under capitalism is still a scam. Like
Yeah, yeah, no, because it has happened. It's basically we have become isolated from each other and automatized to the point where basically, you are you and that person is them, and you can do whatever the fuck you want to do with them. That wasn't always the case. I mean, people had stronger sense of community and solidarity, and
yeah,
that's kind of the reason why the left, unfortunately, has to struggle so badly, because you have to basically reawaken that to people that everyone's a fucking human being and not a fucking another not your next scam victim.
yeah, yeah, actually, well, okay, so to bring it back to the
Gamers.
GamestopGate. um, that's one thing, and really, I started this huge tangent just to say what you just said. Um, how this resonates on so many different political ideologies and just across the spectrum. Um, like people on the left, people on the right, um, and in between are supportive of this as a revolt against capitalism or a protest against capitalism. Um, even though Democrats and Republicans, like the establishment, um, they're both they there's some cultural differences. They're both capitalist, not Catholic. They're both capitalist. Um, the fringes of both sides, and actually much of the base too, I assume. But I guess just the less wealthy parts of their base are supportive of this, even though they're on pretty opposite sides of the spectrum. But why would that be? Why would a Bernie supporter and a Trump supporter both be rooting for Reddit here? They
Because
both
literally the only
realize,
differences between us is just, oh, sorry, no, I'm sorry, Austin, continue. I'll later say what I want to say. Continue. Sorry.
yeah, no, I'll wrap it up here. It's really just and it's like the Joker. Both the movie The Joker. Both realized, like as portrayed in The Joker, that regardless of the wealth that exists in this society and yeah, the material abundance, the way that people treat one another and the way that life feels, even if you're pretty well off, the way that life feels is disappointing and just painful so much of the time. Like it's not, humans really aren't supposed to be living in such like antisocial, selfish, go fuck yourself, the only thing that matters is me kind of a world.
And it's funny because this is supported by science. This is biology, and obviously, biology for liberals is also taboo, just in the same way evolution is. Well, not, so it's taboo for all
don't
these
do them
people.
like that, Chris.
No, it is. They don't believe in biology. I mean, I'm not talking about the whole trans thing. Obviously, that I obviously support trans people, and we're not going to get into that because that is a bullshit meme. But I'm talking about liberals don't believe in like the biological needs of people, meaning that in order for
Yeah.
a healthy functioning society, you have to basically meet like what is it, Mendelian, or the pyramid of what the fuck
Yeah.
was that called?
Yeah, the pyramid of needs, and it's like
Exactly.
the basic needs of people.
Like just meet all those fucking needs, but liberals refuse to believe that. They believe that they can keep squeezing people out until and that they'll be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think it's going to be interesting to see how this is portrayed as a purely anti-capitalist, or I don't think it's going to be like that with everyone, but just how some are going to call this an anti-capitalist revolt, which
No, but the liberals are not
is,
going to do that. They're literally just going to say it's just racism or Russiagate 2.0.
oh yeah.
Because they can't
Yeah,
say it's
no, that's for sure.
anti-capitalist.
For
They
sure.
can't say that. They can't say that because then it's going to start making people realize, and it's already doing this. This is awakening people's minds that, oh, we can't do that, but they can do that. They can cheat us at the stocks, but we can't do that. Even though these kids were able to game the system, that's fucked up. That's starting to make people realize that this game is rigged. It's starting to gain people a consciousness that it's us versus them, and that's the thing that we really need.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be awesome to
And
see
here,
the
yeah,
aftermath.
just one more thing. And I think also because of the fact that Trump basically betrayed his party, I think a lot of them have come to the conclusion like, oh, they're all pedophile eating lizards, psychopaths. They all basically tune to the same drum. None of them are good. There are no like there is no Mary Sue protagonists in the elite. They don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no one's going to really come save you.
Yeah, no one is.
um Well, I want to touch on the anti-capitalist thing just to,
Yeah, go for it. Go
again,
for it.
because I think it's so important, um, and it's sort of an underappreciated aspect of this is, yeah, the political diversity, the fact that people on the right and the left, or there are people, I should say, on the right and the left who are behind this, who are supporting it. When this is going to get into history, but I think of like any broad rebellion or revolution, revolt that destroys an old regime, usually, let's see, I'm thinking of the Mexican Revolution, the
Replaces it.
Russian
You're trying to say about
Revolution.
that. No, bro, go for it. I know where you're going
Um,
for.
yeah, I'm in order to destroy a standing regime, it's very rare for a single political group
Yes,
or
continue.
ideology to single-handedly overthrow a standing regime.
That is true.
Um,
That was not just that not just what happened in the Mexican Revolution. That happened in Cuba. That happened in Russia, and that happened in China.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and in order to destroy an old regime, I think it's
You need
beneficial for,
solidarity of many groups.
yeah. So groups that you are mortal enemies with outside of your mutual hatred of the standing regime, you may need to kind of align with her. I just think of the non-aggression pact, right? USSR and Nazis, a
Yeah.
non-aggression pact, and just attack the standing regime to overthrow it. And then once you do that, then all
Then
hell breaks loose.
all hell breaks loose, and then you basically get into the really bloody part of the Civil War.
Yeah.
Always the bloodiest part, where it's basically like, okay, we got rid of these old fucks. Now it's basically time to fight for real power.
It's me or you, baby.
That's me or
But
you, baby. And that's kind of what me and Austin think is going to eventually happen to this point, where eventually the left and the right will have to duke it out for the prize.
yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's what I was trying to get at. I don't think that this is going to be like the the first step in the fall of the United States, right? That would be
Yes,
way too kind of optimistic or reading into it too much. But I do think that
baby
if
steps,
the US
bro.
if the US is to fall or have a civil war, probably civil war is more likely because I don't think a fall would work as smoothly in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, continue.
I think it would have to be something like this where on a much larger scale, um, discontent elements, if not majorities, on the left and the right, um, rise up and revolt in some way um, against both the economic elite and the political elite. Um,
Yes,
so I'm looking at the
and
storming
it's
of the
funny,
Capitol.
right? And it's funny though because like you see people. So you might not know who this is, Austin, but so I'm seeing people get upset that what's his face, fucking Jimmy Dore, but not just him, but other leftists giving flat or so people that consider themselves leftists or leftists that get pissed off at him or other people for giving a platform to right wingers. But um, leftists, I'm gonna have to tell you this honestly. I'm like, we don't have the numbers, and a lot of your fucking language is very disgusting and alien to the working class. It sounds like toxic poison, the shit that you spew out of your mouths. You don't know how to communicate to them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I will also say I think the working class, and this goes for a variety of revolutions, and rebellions, etc. I think the working class to the working class and the left's in some ways failure to galvanize the working class. Um, I think that this you can find elements of this in a variety of revolutions or rebellions in just different countries throughout history. Um, since the working class is generally has less access to education, less access to um, establishment like newspapers and journalism, basically able less able to produce and spread their um, ideas and desires in a establishment mode of communication. So I'm thinking of like newspapers, for example. You think of the kind of person who's a journalist.
Yes.
There are obviously working class journalists. I don't mean to take a dig at journalists with that. Um, I just mean that the working class is less able to voice their desires than others. So to with all that, I mean that the left in terms of voting, um, absolutely has so much ground to cover with the working class. I think that's I don't I think there's a chance that in an actual like rebellion or revolution or civil war, um, that the working class will be more receptive to the left than it seems based on like voting patterns. I think that
I think people underestimate the working class, and I think
yeah,
that's a very dumb
yeah.
thing to do.
I think it's like a sleeping giant kind of thing where
Yes,
they're not particularly affected with whether Biden or Trump is president. I mean,
exactly. They're not
in some ways
political.
they are.
They're not. They don't have a political ideology. That's why a lot of them actually like Trump. He didn't have a political ideology, really.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think of I mean, I think of how many between Trump's um first election to a second. I think of how his voting patterns changed with Mexicans. Um, and it's insane to be honest.
Yeah.
How much growth he had in his support from I shouldn't even say Mexicans, Latinos.
And people, this is with the whole COVID in the background. I mean, imagine had that not happened.
Oh yeah, no, Trump might have. I don't
Well,
think
he
he would
wouldn't
have
have
won
won
a
a
majority.
majority, but he
Yeah,
would have done the best out of any like I could probably see around maybe like a 43% of the Latino vote.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking mid 40s, anywhere from 43 to 47, and which is insane to to put a Republican in the same sentence as these like huge voting numbers. And then especially not just any Republican, but supposedly like the most racist anti-Latino Republican.
American
Like it's
Hitler.
yeah, no, literally Hitler. Like it's insane. But yeah, I think it shows not that um Latinos who vote for Trump are generally like truly working class because I'm sure that they have above average incomes.
I mean,
But
Latinos are slowly starting to become the petty bourgeoisie, having businesses and stuff like that. The scum.
shout out Cubans in Florida.
Oh, they have basically live off subsidies, so they are, the socialist scum that they hate. They basically are their socialist brothers in back on the island. Cubans can't live
um,
without socialism.
um,
It's in their blood.
it's yeah, I think the working class is really just again a sleeping giant thing where people think just because the working class voting numbers are abysmal, that's a sign that like the working class is like so oppressed that they can't vote. And in some ways, like they truly just someone just does not have reasonable access to voting. I think that's absolutely part of like the equation. But I
Yeah,
also think
to continue,
so
finish
many
going.
like working class people just don't vote because it's not particularly significant. Like well, it doesn't
They know
necessarily
they're not
matter whether
stupid. They're not stupid. I hate how people think that the working class is like dumbass rubes and they can't,
yeah.
do like what's in their best interest. I'm like, they know that nothing is gonna help them. They know both of these parties are fucking crooked.
Like why would I watch let's say a presidential debate? I mean before Trump when they used to be
Yeah,
boring.
but yeah, when they were boring,
Because
but
during
now,
Trump
well, they people watch the Republican ones because those are fucking fun.
yeah, those were fire. But again, if your life is truly
Well,
not going to be
post
affected
McCain, post McCain. Like once
post
we got to
McCain,
like Mitt Romney's like like bullshit because remember they didn't want Mitt Romney, but all the other people, fun times.
but again like
R.I.P. Herman Cain who ran in 2012.
yeah, Godfather pizza.
Yeah,
Um
continue, Austin. Sorry.
yeah, like a Yale political scientist will talk about I don't know the political ignorance of the oppressed working class or something, and it's like,
Oh,
bro, why would I watch some boring debate of a bunch of rich white people just bickering with each other about minute policy differences when I could just watch sports or something, and my life again is
exactly.
affected in no meaningful way, regardless of which old white man wins.
Exactly. I mean, people wonder why we're so fixated on sports. It's because I'm sorry, this shit isn't interesting. Nothing is interesting anymore except for fucking sports or fucking video games.
Yeah, it's like before Trump, the the policy differences between Democrats and Republicans in many ways was like so minute that the average person could, the average American could pretty much live their entire life without knowing what any of the differences between Obama and Romney or McCain were, because the differences were really marginal.
Yeah, essentially.
It's like we're just talking about I don't know.
The classic South type of, a giant douche and a turd sandwich. I
Yeah,
mean, as cliche as
yeah.
it sounds.
It's like maybe some tax rates would be a little bit different or something, but it's really not
It's not that
particularly
substantial.
mind blowing. Yeah. Um. But yeah, to bring it back to GameStopGate, it's crazy to see how different parts of the spectrum are part of this. But it
I hope that
will
wasn't an autism
also
joke. I'm joking.
it's
I'm
both.
joking. Oh, continue.
Um. But it'll be I think it'll be fascinating to watch going forward. How how it continues on the left and on the right. So first of all, like will this entire like movement or whatever this is, will this be turned? Will the left kind of take it over, and will this turn into a more progressive thing? Will the right take it over? Will it stay relatively universal? Like, where is this going?
We honestly don't know. That's the interesting thing. This is magic happening here, people. Um, but maybe this is, the beginning of a third party, or the beginning of something new. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be the end of the United States, or finally the start of the Civil War that both me and Austin, so desperately want. Um, but I mean, I honestly have no predictions, to be honest. I mean, it's the same way how tomorrow, I don't know if, GameStop is going to hold all the way to 300 and, fuck over all the short sellers and make them lose billions to these gamers. Anything's up in the air right now. I mean, but but do know that the hand of the state is trying to come down on these people.
Yeah, well, actually, why don't we get into that? Let's get into that part. The
Okay, excellent.
the crony capitalism part. I was making fun of that earlier, but it clearly is like when you're not allowed to buy or sell like a stock, it's I I don't see the justification within like
No, but
Adam
it even gets
Smith's.
worse. But it even it gets, you can say about Adam Smith in a bit, but it gets even worse. Sometimes there has been cases of them selling people's liquidating their stock.
Oh yeah, that's even one level farther. Yeah,
But
a
continue.
broker
Sorry, right?
just like selling something without any kind of
Consent.
consent on your part is completely insane.
Yeah, but
And
continue about where you're going to go. Sorry, Allison.
oh yeah, well, with the Adam Smith thing, it's like we all know like the laissez-faire illusion of capitalism that many if not most on the right have, like the Rand Pauls, the Ron Pauls, and that's not a dig at Ron Paul. I actually kind of like him, but
I kind of like Ron Paul too.
I hope he runs in 24. Um, but the idea that capitalism is just
Not
like
his son. His son is a cuck.
that it's like somehow just the invisible hand is fair and omnipresent, and um I mean, I do agree. Like private industry is often more efficient than the government, like the DMV or whatever. Like, yeah, whatever. But um, if this isn't a clear example of the crony like parameters that capitalism has in the U.S., where you're allowed to be free insofar as you don't ruffle the feathers of the economic elite, then I don't know what is. Because again, you're not allowed to buy or sell a certain stock because some a couple of hedge funds on Wall Street are hurting, or you're forced to sell a stock without any kind of notice or consent because again, a couple of hedge funds on Wall Street are hurting. Like, is that not corporate welfare? I I don't see any kind of justification for it.
Yeah, it's. But I think people are starting to understand that the stock market is basically a casino where it's always basically, the house always wins no matter what. No matter
Yeah,
what, even like even if you do, like, maybe what these kids are doing is counting cards, but counting cards is not illegal. It never was. It's just that these assholes are trying to place, fake arbitrary rules.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how I was explaining it to a younger friend of mine who's kind of
Awesome.
just heard about it. I said think of Wall Street as a casino and the house always wins. Um,
Oh my god, fucking Ben Shapiro was like trying to, no. Here's my 6 listings, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, you stupid manlet nerd. No one gives a shit. And everyone basically chided him in the comments. Good.
because if you truly want the invisible hand, laissez-faire, free market, um, minimal regulations, why would you? What's the justification for the halting of GameStop, AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry, whatever? Um, for those who are kind of the capitalism or the free market crowd, like how do you justify this? What's the rationale for this?
It, like I said, Austin, they're gonna believe it's crony capitalism, and this isn't how capitalism is supposed to work. This isn't how Adam Smith divined it in his holy Bible that he was given by the angel Moroni.
So
That was a dig
so
at Mormons.
before God sent capitalism to Utah, um, what? Okay, 'cause I'm thinking that the special treatment to these
Mhm.
hedge funds that are hurting from this,
Yeah.
um, to me, it's going to be interesting because it's pissing off so many different blocks of
Sectors.
people, so many different sectors. Yeah. So I think I have no idea what Rand Paul's been saying, but I just imagine his crowd is against this.
Oh no, definitely.
AOC.
Yeah, AOC, Ted Cruz, everyone is talking against this,
So
except for
uh,
dick suckers like Ben Shapiro. But he's a status, even though claims he's not.
so I, I'm interested to see how much like kind of political currency it gets because if you have enough support amongst politicians, and then I'm sure that a strong majority of Americans are are supportive of Reddit here. Think Wall Street's out of line. Will
Yeah, I
this
mean,
actually?
you're hearing a bunch of kids, fucking, ganging up on a bunch of hedge fund assholes that basically stole your money in 2008, your pensions, your 401ks, all that shit. It's because of them. You're gonna fucking cheer them on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, well, do you remember in 2008? Do you feel like politicians were there was pretty universal outrage at Wall Street? Um,
Yeah, there was feign outrage, like fucking people like Elizabeth Warren.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this isn't going to be like unprecedented if there's a pretty strong majority of politicians, let's say Congress, the Senate, who express some kind of disgust or discontent, whatever, um, with this, right?
I mean, but this is different. I mean, these lizards are basically, instead of giving you your 2,000 checks, to survive, they're instead going to talk about the limits of Reddit and GameStop stock like tomorrow,
Yeah.
like fucking Congress. That's insane. I'm like, people are fucking dying of this virus and they need money because we're still fucking, cooped up in our homes. But instead, we have to talk about fucking 16-year-old, people that 16-year-old losers that basically are able to rip off, like billionaire hedge fund dipshits. Like, please tell me how that's a functioning society, how that's a healthy society, or that's a society that will not become Brazil in the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, I think even if I mean this probably won't be the end. So it as the US like continues moving forward, it's just another notch on the scorecard of the pissed off average American.
And
And
the
this kind of
freaking
stuff.
the dim-witted sociopath politician that basically is out of touch but also thinks that they're a god and they'll never be held accountable for this.
Yeah, capitalism and the establishment will think they've just won again, and they have in the short term. But this kind of stuff, like, you can't go on forever.
They
Um,
think it can. They think that they're gods, and they think eventually that they'll be able to escape on some rocket ship with Elon Musk, take a couple of us as slaves, and then let the rest of us, piss and swallow into death in, the heat death of this fucking planet. That's what these lunatics want. But hopefully, I hope that in the end, most of them are not allowed on the ship, which I'm pretty sure is what's going to happen. That Elon
oh
Musk
yeah.
and Jeff Bezos are basically like, no, 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 we're going to take some of the hot women, some of our friends that are guys, and the rest of you can go die.
Well, if you've seen Elon or Bezos's wife, ex-wife, I should say, neither of them are hot. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. But I'm like, who knows? I mean, but like I'm saying, like most of these people think that they're going to be on Elon Musk's ship, but they're
oh
very
yeah,
wrongly mistaken.
they're just gonna look for the ugliest women in the land to bring with them.
Who knows who the fuck they bring? But you're not getting on the ship, Pelosi's children.
Chelsea Clinton might make it.
She might. I honestly could see her and her family getting on there. I don't think they'll let Bill though,
Yeah, if there's any kids around, they can't bring Bill.
and I'm pretty sure Elon just had a kid. But fuck that. Moving on. So let's continue about the what were we on again?
With just I think discontent with capitalism.
Right, right.
It's this kind of stuff is it seems like something you can just kind of sweep under the rug, ignore,
Right.
move on. It's business as usual. Um, but this stuff, it's another straw on the camel's back.
Yes, for sure.
And even if the U.S. even if the U.S. is still kicking in 2030 or something, this kind of stuff will matter. It will amount to something. It'll show that, first of all, the the elite is powerful but not invincible. Um,
Yes, because I
even
mean, a
with
bunch of dumbass kids were able to take down billionaires.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna keep drawing back to Trump on this because I really do think the 2016. I think the Trump election was an insane upset and
Yes, speaking.
repudiation of the establishment.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
in the same way that a bunch of retards on 4chan really helped birth Trump, and obviously they weren't like the only deciding factor that Trump won, but Trump really won against the establishment's poster child, Hillary, because of a bunch of angry people. I think anger was kind of like the biggest
Yes, and they
thing.
used memes and stuff like that. They used on the
And they use
internet.
memes.
They use memes. They use memes to express the anger to communicate with people, and they're using that now. They're using
And they're
that
using
now.
that now.
Yeah, they're using it like I show. They shorted my stock, so I'm going to shorten their life. That shit's gold, people.
Exactly. So in
It's
so
better than
well
the
Trump was
Bernie memes because that's just bullshit that they're using because Bernie has been neutralized and now he's basically can be accepted into the liberal fold. The same way how MLK was, eventually, sanitized.
oh yeah, Bernie was castrated for sure. But or at least his image maybe. Um
Yeah. I mean, now
but
he is. Now he can be, the old cranky grandpa.
but well Trump was mostly cultural. And it was more the right, obviously. This is so interesting because this is multifaceted. This is economic and political. Um
And cultural in some aspects.
and cultural in some aspects. Yeah, absolutely. Um and it's also multifaceted. It's not just Republicans. It's not just the right. Um,
I mean, the left is
I
getting in this grip. I mean, I'm getting in on this grip, motherfuckers.
um
We ride
I
at dawn, bitches.
even even if this flounders out, I'm really interested to see because the whole world's watching. The whole
Yes.
world knows now that basically investment mobs, online investment mobs work or can work at least in the short term. So I'm really interested to see who's going to be next. There's no way that even if, let's say, Wall Street Bets as a subreddit is just deleted, um there's no way that this type of internet investing trend thing ends here. Like, I don't know, 4chan will be up next or something, and they'll buy a bunch of like dildos or something. Like, there's
Oh,
gonna be,
God.
there's gonna absolutely be like some kind of copycat sort of things. Probably not to this level of success because the fact that this is sort of the first thing, at least in a long ass time, um, allows an element of surprise, and like the establishment is especially unprepared for this.
Yes, they
So
are.
I'm sure the next one won't be like as successful, but this model nonetheless, even
Can be
with
worked on
like
different things.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm
Unless you
sure
still have the whole dildo thing. I like it. But continue. Sorry,
and
Austin.
I'm sure like more partisan groups are gonna target um political like enemies. So let's say the right wants to buy a bunch of like, I don't know, some kind of stock that triggers less, maybe Goya, maybe Goya, Goya stock that
You heard it here first. Get Goya stock now.
yeah,
We
yeah,
are not financial. What's the word? We're not.
experts or something.
Yeah, we're not financial experts. We are not telling you to do this, because we're trying to do insider trading. Please
And
don't get us
then
in trouble. SCC, whatever the fuck it is.
and and the left, I'm sure will mirror it in some way, although in a more politically correct way, in a less funny way.
I mean,
Um,
they already did. They did that with some Black Lives Matter, like some companies.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just mean to a whole nother extent where like we're hearing about this on the news, where like Wall Street is losing money and in tears, and the world is ending because some redditors pumped GameStop stock or GameStop stock. Like, um, first of all, it's hilarious to see like the level of bravado and just like how this is um supposedly going to potentially take the entire economy. It's kind of hilarious to see how easily scared
I mean, if
establishment
it
media
does,
is.
then this economy deserves to be tanked.
Yeah, no,
Let's
no,
just
no,
say that.
absolutely. If your economy can be tanked by a bunch of Reddit trolls, are you kidding me? What
You
a
deserve
joke
your
of an
economy to be
economy.
destroyed.
What happened to survival of the fittest? Laissez-faire, baby, invisible hand. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's this week.
Oh my god! But the thing that I'm wondering is if they try to bail these motherfuckers out, I don't think people are gonna have it this time.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be. I actually kind of hope that happens. Because I think that's going to be a huge flashpoint politically. I think some Republicans are even going to be scared to support that because they know like it's just not it's hugely unpopular. So it's really going to be like an establishment elite versus the vast majority of American citizens kind of thing.
Like, where's
Probably
my
like
fucking check, assholes? Why are you giving them another check?
yeah. Yeah, and especially in the midst of mass unemployment. That's another part that I forgot to bring up like
Oh
the
yeah, these people are butthurt about the fact that we're getting checks and we're using it to take their money back.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're literally in a recession, right? Like it's we have mass unemployment. Like we're in a terrible situation economically. If we're about to bail out some of these goofy hedge funds that put all their bread in in GameStop put options, then why the hell are we not helping out more and more people who are being evicted or can't afford their
Basic
medication or
necessities.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. Biden didn't do anything about insulin shots.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually
The
surprised by that. I
lying
thought
fuck.
I thought he would
Don't
try
trust
to
them with
like
anything.
yeah, I thought he was gonna like sneak diss Trump, and then basically just continue what Trump was doing.
I mean, he kind of is. I mean, literally. I mean, I honestly think Trump would do the same thing. So this is what happened. So allegedly, an insider of Robinhood claims that he was with the CEO of Vladimir. I don't give a shit what his ugly last name is. Uh, that he said that he was in talk with the Treasury Secretary and Biden and a couple of other capitalist firms to basically halt trading for GameStop stock and other stock.
Wait.
Are you kidding me? Like, this is where we're fucking at. Where the fucking president of the United States, instead of in doing anything about a global pandemic that's sweeping the nation, a recession that might eventually become a depression, this fucking asshole is talking to fucking some nerds about people trying to rip people off on GameStop stock.
Yeah, it's actually it's pretty funny to see how the crony capitalism uh is justifying itself where like Robinhood or E-Trade or TD, Ameritrade or whatever broker you use when they ban GameStop or AMC or whatever, they they justify their bans by saying they're protecting the investor. Um
Oh, thank you. I know what investor you're talking about, asshole.
the investor who's using his his reason given to him by Adam Smith and his free will given to him by God to employ his capital to grow wealth, which is the doing of God or something like.
The foundation of why America is so great, and
What
he's making
happened to
America
the
great again.
what happened to freedom and individual choice and individual liberty and all this shit? Like
It was always a meme. It would
it was
never
always
was.
a meme.
It was always a meme.
Absolutely.
It was always a meme. And Adam Smith was the king of memers.
Yeah, they really try to justify it by yeah protecting the individual investor
I mean, the
when
guy
it's
never really believed in his own shit. I mean, when he died, he secretly gave off a lot of his wealth to charities.
oh yeah, I'm sure he'd be horrified by the world now, but Yeah, it's just I I don't know how anyone would coherently justify it. Any Democrat or Republican, even establishment, Democrats, Republicans. I really don't. It'll be interesting to see the mental gymnastics. If it does die down and politicians somehow kind of just move on and accept it. Um, because I mean, this might be optimistic of me, but I do think that even if this doesn't amount to anything huge in the foreseeable future, I do think that like politicians and just really popular memory, people will be disgusted by how the hedge funds were protected and how the establishment kind of really just protected and gave welfare to hedge funds, um, because Wall Street isn't particularly popular amongst rank and file Americans.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be fun to see how it's remembered, how it's portrayed.
They're definitely gonna make a fucking movie out of this.
Yeah, I think it's grounds to be moved because it in the same way the night that Trump won, um, it was like wow it showed the vulnerability of the establishment. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the Trump election was political. This is economic, or this is Wall Street, whatever. Um, but there's political overtones to it either way. It shows that the elite isn't invincible. They're powerful. They're powerful, absolutely. Um, but they have weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is that's the one thing that out of all this that if anything comes out of anything, is that people start to realize that there is strength in numbers. And that if we,
Mhm.
kind of give up all this bullshit pretenses, this these cultural differences that we have, that's pretty much the only thing that's kind of separating us at this point, then we can work to, get rid of these fucking pedophile lizards.
Or at least kill them all, and then
Oh, we don't endorse
the
killing, but I mean, eventually, they're gonna have to go away. To they're gonna have to go to elsewhere or whatever the fuck they said in the Giver.
they'll they'll run out of adrenochrome. Um,
Yeah, which will kill
no,
them.
even after they're
Actually,
gone.
that is probably threatening to killing them because I mean, if they don't have their adrenochrome, they will die. They're like vampires at this point.
Yeah, the first step is getting rid of them. Then after that, whatever happens is God's plan. But um,
May Allah, inshallah.
but yeah, it was. I'm sure that this this probably won't amount to anything really big in the short term, right?
In
Um,
the short term, yes, that's
in the
correct.
short term, yeah, and people will just be like, oh wow, like I'm just thinking of fortune. You thought it was a happening and it wasn't or something. Um,
But I think even they don't think it's happening too. I think they have, but I think they do know that this is a a baby step, and that's
yeah,
good.
and this is and I feel the same way about this as I do about the Capitol insurrection. Well, it is mostly a meme for now,
Mm-hmm.
and and it is just another kind of goofy story for ABC News to talk about on their
Well, goofy
nightly.
story that we keep having every fucking Wednesday. I mean, last Wednesday they impeached Trump, and the Wednesday before that was the storming of the Capitol.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm getting at. Well, you may think this is just kind of like run of the mill boring shit because life is going to go on tomorrow as it did today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the fact that this kind of crazy shit with again the storming of the Capitol, this now, um,
The
is
second
just happening.
impeachment,
A second impeachment, and then we're in the midst of a global pandemic created in a Wuhan lab in China.
or my barber said it was Fauci who created it, and then let it loose in China to destroy
And
China,
created by Fauci in his basement.
and then they loosed it in Wuhan.
But like this level of things happening is just too damn fast. I don't I really think that for accelerationists and for any of our fellow comrades who are looking forward to this show ending, um, there's just too much going on too fast for this. This rate is just unsustainable for the long term.
Yeah,
Um,
people can't handle this. I mean, people are are getting anxiety, and rightfully so. I mean, this is not healthy, people.
this is not healthy, and it's just not normal either. Like societies typically just don't move at this
We're
rate,
hyper
basically.
accelerating to a point where it's not fucking, possible to sustain ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So even even if you're a laissez-faire kind of guy, or you're a, I don't know, you're just a
Status
Wall Street
quo.
cuck. You're a
Yeah,
status
Wall
quo
Street
guy.
Coke. Yeah.
You're a Wall Street cuck. Um, even if you don't support the Reddit side of this, it is significant.
Yes.
It's significant. It remains to be seen like how significant. Um, but there's this kind of stuff doesn't happen in American history like frequently. It's pretty like I really can't think of.
I can't think of anything else comparable to this.
Yeah, I can think of like marginally similar buying frenzies, but they weren't as politically charged as this. This is like an Wall Street revolt. Like people
Yes,
are
that did
buying
not happen.
stocks.
That did not happen before the Great Crash. What happened was that people kept buying, and the stocks didn't, actually amount to anything. But they were doing it because they thought it was the normal thing to do.
Yeah, they were just trying to get rich without kind of a political bent to it, or any kind of like
Because everyone
rebellious
believed in
or
capitalism
yeah,
in the
yeah,
20s.
yeah, exactly. This time you're literally doing it. I mean, I guess partially to make money, but I really don't think it's like the self-interest thing is um the main factor. It's
Yeah,
more
it's
it's
there,
more
but
it's
it's
more
to
about
make them. Yeah, but it's to make money and also to do other things. But continue.
yeah, and to fuck with Wall Street, and it worked amazingly. I think it worked better than anyone could have expected. I'm
Has
honestly
anyone
stunned.
ever done this much damage other than like when there's crashes? But then they can get their bailouts, and people sometimes don't pay attention.
Yeah, no, no, really, the last time I felt this way was when Trump won. Like, wow, the internet trolls really won. Like, they really like fucked with the establishment, and they really caught the establishment with their pants down. Um, yeah, it it makes you realize like, wow, um, life is real. Like, things can still happen, even though we've lived in this age of techno capitalism that is that has been it has been like strong. It has been successful at maintaining its stranglehold over life for us for the past 20 years where we just think kind of like free trade and globalization is inevitable, and this is just God's plan, and this is just the order we live under. um Trump's win was like a crack in that theory. Like Francis Fukuyama, the end of history, right? Like
Yes,
capitalism and democracy and liberal democracy are just the uh,
the natural
the
endpoint.
norm of life, and that's just how it is. We're just
Yeah,
done with history. We're done with seismic changes in political orders.
we're done with the
Um,
struggle. This is the status quo. This is the way that human beings should live.
yeah, like this is heaven. This is the end game. Um,
Good God.
I think. Oh, what a nightmare!
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump's election. It's a huge crack in that theory. And then this, I guess it's a small, it's a chink in the armor, but
Yeah,
it's a sign
but it's
like
still a chink.
economically. Yeah, and it's in another category. This is stocks, which is really interesting because
Because this is the heart blood of this liquid capitalism that basically that has like imaginary numbers that mean nothing.
mhm, it's like you went into the belly of the beast and beat the enemy at their own game.
Exactly, and that's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing, and it's terrifying for Wall Street, who are used to just kind of owning it. and just
but
always
but
winning.
but as you were talking, you were texting me earlier, Austin. You said you're still afraid of the Wall Street still winning because at the end of the day, the state will come down hard on this.
Hmm. Yeah, I think they are gonna win this battle, but they're not necessarily gonna win the war.
Hmm,
Um,
interesting.
I think the GameStop is and the GameStop, the AMC's, the Nokia's, um, are gonna end more or less in Wall Street kind of coming away with maybe with a detente or with a kind of a stalemate. It's not going to be a. I really don't think that Reddit has a path to like a clear victory here, where Wall Street and the hedge funds just truly just get destroyed and GameStop stock stays at ridiculous highs.
Yeah, no, go for it.
But that's just the battle. Because we're talking about the stock market as a which is already like owned and ran by Wall Street. Um, like the odds are just simply stacked against Reddit and insurgents, period. Um, but that being said, it's a huge, huge sign of weakness. Um, like the level the level of panic like in mainstream media
Oh my God,
is
speak on
honestly
it.
laughable.
Yes, it is so laughable that they're literally on TV. These hedge fund managers, these people that you're supposed to take, you're supposed to take, you're supposed to listen to in order to get good in the stock market. Here's a fun fact. Don't listen to them because they're literally trying to sell you snake oil because they're literally going to try to short sell you on that stock. It's these people literally do not deserve, the position that they're in. They're not experts in anything. Literally, all they got was that they were lucky that they were born to like upper middle class white liberal parents.
They were at the right party at UPenn and just and happened to have a little spare Coke to share with the trust fund kid who ended up telling their dad to hire
Yes, yes, correct.
him.
It's all
No,
nepotism, baby. It's all nepotism.
no, I yeah, so I don't think that this battle again will I think it's at best a stalemate for Reddit, or to me more than likely a loss. Um, I think it's going to return relatively close to where it was before any of this kind of breaking out. Um, but that
I can
being
see it.
said, that being said, that shouldn't be like a um demoralization kind of thing. I think this is just the first step. I think it shows that this strategy of internet mobbing can and is viable, and and it's only a matter of time until the next mob tries the next dog, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
beautiful
beautiful
thing.
thing. It's a beautiful thing to see, these rich billionaire assholes get fucked over.
Yeah, because I don't see how without this kind of stuff, without um damage to Wall Street by rebels, by insurgents, etc. Um, the economic calamity that's usually necessary for some kind of revolution or civil war to break out. Um, I don't see how it will really occur. I think this kind of stuff is vital to causing economic turbulence that usually precipitates any kind of large scale rebellion, revolt, revolution, etc. Um, because without this, I mean, what are the avenues of economic trolling that the average person can do that gets at the elite? Um, like without stocks or something, what are you gonna do to fuck with like Nancy Pelosi and hedge funds? Um, maybe I guess you can buy buy a house and sell it for like $1 or something. I really don't don't know. It's like this is such a useful way of directly hitting Wall Street where it hurts. Um,
Yeah, no, this really is. we have really never seen this in our life. I mean, you see what happened in 2008. Hedge fund managers were laughing, mocking. They didn't give a shit about the protests. It didn't really do anything. And in the end, we ultimately got Obama, who obviously turned out to be a nothing asshole, except for reestablishing the neoliberal order for, well, not reestablishing, but reaffirming it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I think
obviously, we won't get
reaffirming
another
it with a
Obama out of
smile.
this. Yeah, reaffirming it with blackface. I mean, that's literally what Obama is. He's blackface, like white neoliberalism.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's just hilarious. uh, yeah, it'll be interesting to also to see Joe Biden first.
Oh,
I
by
mean,
the
this is
way,
a
that was Cornel West that said that. The probably one of the smartest human beings on the planet, and a prominent black activist.
oh yeah, he's roasted Obama
Yeah,
more than enough times, huh?
definitely.
Um,
The man is
it'll
is
be
king. Continue.
it'll be fun to see how Biden. First of all, I'm assuming he's going to try to avoid talking about this, as I bet Trump would. I don't think Trump would full on endorse like the Reddit mob or anything, despite the fantasies of most like Trump supporters and his base. Um, I'm guessing he would try to ignore talking about it, and then if he did, he'd probably say, "Oh yeah, everything's great." Um, for Biden, I'm guessing he's going to avoid talking about it as much as possible, um, but just kind of strike a neutral tone. It'll be fun to see though, like if to see him get pressed on it and how he maneuvers his way around it. Because I'm sure he does. He's kind of like forced to support it. I mean, he's basically just an establishment, run of the mill.
I mean, he's already. I mean, they're already talking about doing investigations. I mean, he's on board on it. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy was prolific for being being the water carrier for these credit card scam companies that exist in Delaware.
Hmm. Yeah. So I don't think that. I think he supports it like in terms of his policy, in terms of his ideology, who he's been. I just mean like in talking about it. Um, he's been
Oh,
fairly
he'll let other people
slick.
talk for him. I mean, he's our. I
Yeah.
mean, there was already where his press secretary was defending how the Treasury Secretary has links with the capital firm that sponsors Robin Hood.
Oh my god.
So yes, our president is a crook, and I hope the Republicans use this to impeach his ass.
Impeach. That's only for Trump.
Oh hell no! When the Republicans win in a supermajority landslide in 2022, they're gonna impeach his ass. I know. Might be ironically, they might be able to actually get him out.
It's gonna be hilarious when impeachments just become the norm, like
Oh
as
hell yeah!
as parties just get more and more polarized, and then
Just
someday,
imagine Biden wins again in 2024, and then he gets impeached twice more.
and
But
then
continue, Austin. But what we're gonna say about
yeah,
impeachment? Yeah, sorry.
as establishment Democrats and Republicans are like stunned when a civil war breaks out, and they're like, "Wow, like where did this come from?" Like we just thought we could just um call the other side like literal uh tr- treasonous traitors and pedophiles and rapists and etc. Like and this just a civil war is just beyond the pale though. Like so because impeachment is a really strong thing. Like it should it should be a huge deal if someone feels like a president's impeached in a functional society,
Yeah, and
right?
I think we started reaching that point like with fucking Clinton.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it showed it's kind of a meme, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's um
and we didn't impeach fucking Bush for all the shit that he did.
yeah. Yeah, no. I think ever since Trump's election, um and thank God for Trump in doing this was just his the escalation where like Trump is being impeached and now Republicans are talking about impeaching Biden. And then I assume I really do think that impeachment's just going to become the norm, period. Like no
Yeah,
matter
no, for sure.
who's the candidate for the opposition party. And that's a huge, just like
That's a
this is.
breakdown of the system.
Yeah. No, just like this whole GameStop thing is. Like it's a clear crack in the
Status quo,
uh
the establishment.
in the status quo, and how our economies, or sorry, not even our economy, how our stock market's supposed to function, how our elections and government is supposed to function.
How all
Like
these institutions are supposed to work. People are
exactly.
starting to realize it's all a meme. It means
These
nothing. They have no power
these
except when you give
institutions
it to
are
them.
exactly, these institutions are just all a meme. That's really what it boils down to.
It's a hologram that you lie to yourself is actually a fucking castle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really just it. It's like, wow, so every single president's gonna get impeached now. We're gonna just have like investment mobs pumping up stocks, and
People are
then
going to
Wall
keep
Street's
getting kicked out of their houses, millions of people. It's going to keep being the norm. I'm like, yes, it's the new norm, but it's not a norm that can be sustainable.
yeah, yeah. And I think for acceleration, it's awesome to see because it's
And
like
I think it's going to even go worse than that. It's going to be like, we're probably going to get new viruses. Like the fucking coronavirus is probably going to like mutate to something even more demonic. And like, oh, okay, just a million more people died. Oh, that's fine. Carry on.
hey, as long as we get a vaccine, we're good.
Yeah, after the new strain comes out, every 6 months, like we develop a vaccine, and then the virus evolves, like like musical chairs.
Never ending lockdown. Yeah, no, it's for those who like the system and really
You
believe in
wanted to
the
return back to like the 1990s.
yeah, and really believe in the American system. Like I don't know how you can be optimistic at this point because
Oh, you are one delusional fucking monkey.
because you really thought that, oh, the evil crazy dictator has been voted out.
Yes,
Yes,
the fascist
Biden, a
lord
return to
god.
normalcy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now
the,
you
the
have
guy the
Biden.
guy that is an even bigger racist than Trump. The guy that was literally friends with segregationists. I don't think Trump was ever friends with any segregationists. I mean, he's friends with Shadal Al-Alassin, who's a fucking, Palestinian genocider. I mean, but that's a different story.
Yeah, even besides all those points, I think even just the fact that and Trump did this too. I'm not saying Biden's any worse, but
Yeah,
the
yeah, for sure, for sure.
the ruling by executive order stuff, and then and the talk about impeachment of Biden is a huge step in polarization. I because
It is because executive orders are not supposed to be constantly used. Like I think freaking Washington only did like three.
yeah, I was about to say that the founding fathers even discussed it themselves. Like executive orders are really a last resort kind of thing. Um, And if that's the only means you have, this goes for Trump just as much as Biden. If that's the only means you have
And it
of,
started with Obama, really, but Trump,
and it started with
accelerated it,
Obama.
and then Biden has also like obviously accelerated it.
I would say it was even before Obama, but Obama took it to a new level, and like
Oh,
yeah,
and then the
Obama's
drone
kind of
strikes, like the drone. So basically, everything is being taken to new levels.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't mean to say like it's wrong because I think
No,
Obama
no,
was a
no.
huge
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying that we're
landmark.
just living in like continuing extremes. Like every presidency keeps bringing us to new extremes, and like I told you, Austin, it also becomes more progressively stupid and funny.
Yeah, the brinksmanship, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like now, and then also let's say you're a president who's like, oh, I'm Abraham Lincoln. I want to save the republic. Like I'm the good guy. I want to play by the founders' rules, right? Um, you have no realistic means of accomplishing any kind of legislation or anything. Executive order is really your only option at this point because of political stalemates. Um, so even if you do that, your party's going to call you a pussy, which you absolutely are. Um, if you, if you don't do the executive order stuff, so it's like this game of one upping the other side and the brinksmanship, it just can't go on forever. And it'll be fascinating to see how this all unravels someday.
Yeah.
We can just wait for it. We can just pray for it, but it's lit.
It's lit, but at the same time, I hope that when the first shot happens, it goes right into my fucking temple, baby.
Oh, no. You
I
got to live for
mean,
the aftermath. It'll be fun.
okay. No, no, no. That's my bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I actually surviving coronavirus actually made me lose most of my suicidal tendencies. So, okay, I want to live up to the point where, if the right wins, please, hopefully, I lose. Something happens to me before I can see that happen. And if the left wins, hopefully I die before they eventually fuck it over for everyone, and we get another Stalin, and he implements a bunch of oligarchs to fuck everything over. Because I don't think we're gonna
No,
get another Cuba.
if
I
the
don't
left
believe in
wins,
this
we're
country enough.
getting.
Yeah, go for it.
If the left wins, we're getting Hillary.
Oh God, no, no, please,
Chris,
just
they're making up for all the misogyny. They're like, oh, you Trump supporters were so misogynistic. You thought there would never be a female president. Well, guess what? We now have our progressive female queen, Hillary.
Ivanka Trump.
Ivanka Trump.
Ivanka
Oh,
Trump
that'd be
will
amazing.
become our new progressive queen.
She'll have a minimum wage of $2 an hour. She's a
Oh
true
my God, that's
progressive.
so much better than our previous dictator lord, Melania. No, no, fuck,
Malone.
Sasha Obama. Sasha, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha
Sasha and
Obama.
Malia.
Yeah,
Sasha and
Sasha.
Malia.
Dual dictator queens.
Yeah, no, it's
All right.
it'll be fun to see. Yeah, what this amounts to long term, um,
No,
culturally, politically, etc. Like there's so many avenues this can be dissected from.
yeah,
I really hope that people don't underestimate
the
this
power of
in
gamers.
yeah, the power of gamers, the power of the PS5. Um,
Yeah,
in the short term, the medium term, and the long term, I really hope people do give this like its due attention, its due praise, because this was a fun meme and this was a meaningful meme.
yeah, it was. And you know, this accelerationist model is not ending here, baby. So, uh, any last words, Austin?
I just hope that in the same way that the storming of the Capitol, multiple people died for it. I really do hope that
Oh
in
yes, I know where you're
Gamergate,
going.
I don't know, this does turn into like some kind of more
Some hedge
heated
cuts,
political. Yeah, well, first of all, that a couple hedge funds go bankrupt, but
or they do the
this.
ultimate, the ultimate honorable act. The
Yeah, just
ultimate
like
way
with
of
that
December.
Victoria's Secret guy in the Facebook movie, he killed it. He jumped off a bridge because Victoria's Secret blew up after he had already sold it or something. Um,
Oh shit! I should love it.
I hope we get a
That's a
couple
thing.
hedge fund guys who jump off a bridge, but no, I I I do hope that GameStop becomes like a meme where like hanging out at your local GameStop becomes like some edgy anti-capitalist, I don't know, thing to do or something.
Oh my god! Like
And
we're gonna have DSA chapters there. Well, hopefully not the DSA, but something actually socialist and radical.
because it would be awesome. Imagine if your local GameStop just became like this hot political. I'm thinking of like
Like
the French
saloon.
Revolution, a
Yeah, like
salon, yeah, a
salon.
salon
Yeah.
or a saloon, yeah.
So whatever the fuck they call them. Whatever. Who gives a shit?
The
Fuck the
French
French.
salon, or even a saloon though in the Wild West, just a meeting place to hang out with your local badasses or something.
And then formulate plans to seize the mean of productions for the proletariat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. GameStop is, I mean, I have so many good memories at GameStop growing up, getting ripped off for my used games and stuff. Like it was,
Same here. So it couldn't have been a better meme.
it
Using
couldn't have been a
GameStop.
better meme, exactly.
Well, like the GameStop says, power to the players.
Power to the players.
All right, that should be all right.